things that we might need to consider changing. But when it comes to Dodd-Frank, stakeholders are still confused and frustrated and begging to be told what is expected of them. The courts have already thrown out a major rule for inadequate cost-benefit analysis, and other rules are being challenged on the same basis. The agencies are here today to explain why they apparently cannot cooperate and why it is taking them over 2 years to figure out a way to cooperate with the rest of the world. Here we are 2 years later, and we still have no plan. The CFTC has told no one how it plans to coordinate the implementation of the over 30 rules and thousands of pages of new regulations it has created. No one knows how all these rules will fit together or how much, if any, coordination there has been between the agencies in charge of implementing Dodd-Frank domestically or internationally. Now, I want to be very clear on this point. Stakeholders are certainly not opposed to the certainty that goes along with Dodd-Frank's mandate that swaps be cleared. In fact, many firms have already spent millions of dollars in an effort to be ready to implement the Dodd-Frank rules. What these folks want and what they have been asking for these past 2 years is certainty and direction from the CFTC as to what they need to do toward implementing what Commissioner Summers has properly labeled Chairman Gensler's intergalactic commerce clause of regulation. The problem is that no one knows what Chairman Gensler's plan is. Chairman Gensler's plan 2 years later is disjointed, it's incomplete, and now we find out it's just interpretive and therefore not enforceable by law. Regardless, the CFTC is about to initiate its 60-day countdown to implementation, and in doing so potentially sets in motion a series of events that will send further shockwaves of uncertainty through our derivative users and industry. What happens at the end of these 60 days, which should be on or about October 1, when our domestic users of derivatives, international regulators, or international users of derivatives are not ready? Will the Commission offer waivers? Or will participants simply face massive fines and enforcement actions by the CFTC? Is the CFTC about to create its own system of systemic risk? And if this weren't enough, the CFTC is not doing a job, in my opinion, of what it was created to do, and that is to police the financial streets. It appears as though Chairman Gensler's CFTC is too busy working on this intergalactic plan to have a conversation with anyone, including fellow commissioners or the Securities and Exchange Commission, about implementing recommendations in the aftermath of the MF global bankruptcy. Now, the chairman set a unique precedent by taking a non-participating role and wanted to step aside from his relationship with John Corzine in the investigation of MF Global. I understand that, but he made it clear to other CFTC commissioners, staff, and outside parties that he wanted to keep control of the recommendations that came out of that investigation. My question, especially in light of the failure of Peregrine, PFG Best, last week, the second major failure of this nature on his watch, where are the recommendations? Investors, stakeholders, and others need confidence in the system. Now, Commissioner O'Malley said it well when he called for using the best, most innovative, and least burdensome tools to meet the regulatory ends laid out in the Commodity Exchange Act. Chairman Gensler, CFTC, should be focused on doing exactly that and overseeing the rules on the books rather than requesting new multitudes of staff and looking for justification to regulate the world, any entity doing business with a U.S. person. Therefore, the world, again, with regulations we have seen labeled interpretive and not enforceable by law. Madam Chairwoman, I look forward to hearing from the chairman on how we land the spaceship and how he plans to work with the SEC and the real world of frustrated and worried stakeholders to implement what Dodd-Frank